Ladies and gentlemen, before I begin reading the Fox News article pertaining to Biden and being court-martialed, the New York Times on June 15, 2020, ran an opinion piece titled "The Court-Martial of Donald J. Trump, the intensifying rift between the military and the president demands attention," and went on to say that together those admonishments amount to a metaphoric court-martial of the commander-in-chief. This was a time, ladies and gentlemen, when Democrats redefined national security as Facebook ads and hearsay and gossip from people within Washington, D.C. Doesn't matter who, could be a Pentagon official, could be an anonymous source. They conflated or redefined national security as Facebook ads. Now we know we have 13 Americans who've lost their lives directly because of Biden. Don't say it's because of Trump. It has nothing to do with Trump. And it doesn't even, like, Bush got us. Bush was the worst president we've ever had. But it's not even Bush's fault. That's 20. He was. It's been, 12, 13 years since he's been in office. It's 100% Biden's fault. Even though the Lincoln Project and the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld people and the Democrats like Biden who voted to get us in there, even though they're at fault for the origins of all of this. Biden could have simply negotiated. Well, Biden could have simply abided by the negotiated deal to get us out May 1st. He had January 21st, the rest of January, February, March, April. Somebody give this man a calendar. Now he's forecasting or, telling everyone, there could be another atrocity taking place any moment now. It's his doing. We'll call them the T-Ban. The T-Ban stated that, look, if you don't leave by May 1st, which is what we negotiated with President Trump, if you don't leave by May 1st, there's going to be repercussions, you're going to be liable. But there's an interesting take on this, an interesting viewpoint. Former UK commander in Afghanistan says Biden shouldn't be impeached. He should be court-martialed. The whole world just became vastly more dangerous, Colonel Richard Kemp said on Life, Liberty, and Levin. I'll put that link below. So just look at the two, the different scenarios, the vastly different worlds we live in now. Last year, national security was Trump's offensive tweets, Facebook ads, the Mueller probe, which found nothing. Nobody could indict or charge Trump on any of the accusations because they fabricated everything. U.S. national security was redefined as whatever suited the Democratic Party. Now we have a very interesting viewpoint from Colonel Richard Kemp. And hit subscribe to this channel right now. We're on our way to 200,000 subscribers. If you want to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, other publications, go to hagoodman.com. My latest opinion piece in The Jerusalem Post is in the pinned comment. If you want to support my voice, my Patreon is below in the pinned comment. And also, if you want to give a super thanks to my super thanks, thank you so very much. The colonel states, quote, I don't say this lightly, and I've never said it about anyone else. Any other leader in this position. People have been talking about impeaching President Biden, Kemp told Levin. Quote, I don't believe President Biden should be impeached. He's the commander-in-chief of the U.S. Armed Forces who's just essentially surrendered to, we'll call them the T-Ban for the algorithm. He shouldn't be impeached. He should be court-martialed for betraying the United States of America and the United States Armed Forces. Then Colonel Kemp talks about something that I've been talking about on this channel and telling everybody. Kemp predicted China, which along with Russia, has all but recognized the T-Ban as the new government of Afghanistan, will join with neighboring Pakistan and Iran to further enrich themselves by plundering the country. China is also poised to use Afghanistan's wealth of minerals and natural resources. And I believe he also talks about Taiwan. And I've been talking about how if China invades or blockades Taiwan, that will be they might do so at our lowest point since Jimmy Carter. It's not, look, in my view, it's not about leaving. We couldn't stay there forever. It's about the manner in which we left. I don't think Biden can be court-martialed because he's not, he's the commander-in-chief, but he's still a civilian. He will be impeached, for sure, if not for his son's emails, for this. God forbid this could get a lot worse. And they're already telegraphing or predicting or warning that more atrocities are going to take place. Those 13 Americans should be alive today. Those close to 200 Afghans should be alive today. Former UK commander in Afghanistan said Biden should be impeached. Shouldn't be impeached, he should be court-martialed. And so Colonel Richard Kemp is right. Number one, all Biden had to do is abide by the negotiated deal, the Doha Agreement. All he had to do was abide by the negotiated deal. That's all he had to do. He could have started evacuation January 21st, the day after his inauguration. I'm the only person on YouTube saying this. I think I'm only the only person, or maybe one of few people. People want to say, well, we should have stayed there. Well, it was Trump's fault. It was Biden's fault. Mashed potato brains, surrounded by his merry band of imbeciles, highly educated, polished buffoons. They're complete failures. And you have our Secretary of State, bumbling Blinken, who is completely clueless. He's a tiny bit more aware than deer in the headlights, mashed potato brains. Every time this man speaks, he slurs his speech and he starts speaking in this hushed whisper. He's like this doddering, like, I don't know, I don't want to be insulting, but at the same time, he has this deer in the headlights look all the time. You know he's one fry short of a Happy Meal. You know he's 5 beers short of a six-pack. You know the lights are on, flickering, but nobody's home. You know that everyone knows this. We do not have a president. We have a bunch of people who've propped this man up, and they're basically telling him what to do and what to say. Almost certainly. I can't say that's a categorical statement that I know with absolute fact, but, I mean, do you think that he's running the country? Do you think Biden is running anything? So, there was a reason he didn't evacuate in January. What do you think the reason is? It was to spite Trump. Now we have a situation where, without any military rationale, without any concept of victory or strategy or any concept of a military objective, he allowed the Taliban to vet people and pat them down. He gave them lists of American names and Afghan names. What do you think is going to happen to the poor people who are still left there? And like I said again, those 13 Americans and the around 200 Afghans should be alive today. You have one airport, and you just left Bagram without even letting the commander there know, or the highest official there know. And so, I mean, it's a complete catastrophe. It's a disaster of epic proportions. We haven't been this low as a country since Jimmy Carter. And God forbid the Taliban or any other group there decide, well, I don't even want to talk about it. There are so many, like, potential pitfalls and nightmares that could result from Biden's, I wouldn't even say miscalculation. I don't think he's calculating anything. I think he's just spiting Trump. He wanted to spite Trump in a petulant manner. And this is what you get. The Doha Agreement should have been implemented January 21st. It wasn't. It's not about leaving. We couldn't stay there forever. And it's not about the country falling, because those people there eventually, long term, or maybe within the next year, the same thing happened. It happens in every counterinsurgency conflict. The Soviets before us, the French before us in Vietnam. I wrote against counterinsurgency conflicts in The Hill, the Huffington Post, the Jerusalem Post, and the Roanoke Times. You could see that my articles, my opinion pieces, my op-eds on hagoodman.com. Hit subscribe to this channel. The British colonel is 100% right. Colonel Richard Kemp. Unfortunately, that can't happen, but he will be impeached. And God forbid this gets worse. I fear that it will. I fear that it will. And I also fear that China will invade Taiwan. And if that happens, what on earth can we do? Because Biden does not have the support of the rest of the world. Trump had the support of the rest of the world. They tried to turn Trump into this monster, this otherworldly creature. The reality was they didn't like his personality. That's it. And he could have communicated better, that's true. But at the end of the day, he negotiated the Abraham Accords, the Doha Agreement. He was the first president to step foot in North Korea to begin détente between North and South Korea. President Moon Jae-in stated Trump deserved the Nobel Peace Prize. He did good things. We had record low unemployment, record low black and Latino unemployment. He allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. We had hundreds of thousands of manufacturing jobs, 200,000 lost under President Obama. Wealth inequality was, we were tackling that issue. We were addressing that issue. And then Democrats decided to tank the entire United States economy to keep people safe. And it's never enough. Now they got what they wanted. And now we're at the worst position in terms of geopolitics and internationally than we've been in decades. And it's because Biden is not leading the country. He doesn't exemplify leadership qualities. Not only is he not a leader, but he's not, does anyone think this man is present? Does anyone think this man is cognizant of anything that's going on? At this point, I'd rather have the Vice President, Harris. I'd rather have anybody. I'd much rather have Trump or DeSantis. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. He should be court-martialed. He should be impeached. I don't believe you can have a court-martial with the president, but that didn't stop the New York Times from trying to say that Trump should be court-martialed. Biden is presiding over an absolute nightmare. If China decides to invade Taiwan, or if other, rivals or adversaries decide to implement their own foreign policy or address their own national security concerns, what on earth is Biden going to do? We also face an eviction crisis in this country because Democrats wanted to keep people safe. Thousands, tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands, God forbid, could be evicted because there's a moratorium ending. And they say, well, the Supreme Court, oh my God, look at these conservatives. What did you expect? That these property owners would never get rent being paid? I feel for, obviously, people renting and people I don't want them to get evicted, but you should have allowed them to work for their families the past year. That should never have been an option to tank American society. And now domestically, we deal with high inflation, soaring crime, eviction moratorium, and then internationally, we deal with the lowest point that we've seen in decades. And those 13 Americans should be alive today. And God forbid, what happens in the next couple of days because of Biden, because Biden wanted to spite Trump. That's the only reason. He didn't give a rationale or a logical justification for why he decided to just, decide to stay past May 1st. Why? Why did Biden decide on September? Does anyone know? There is no reason other than to spite his predecessor. Give me your thoughts below. And that's what happens when you're just petulant and you have no strategic objective and you have no definition of victory. You just want to spite Trump because most morally superior liberal Democrats, their lives revolve around doing the opposite of what Trump says, to the detriment of the country. And now we have people losing their lives because of Biden. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now.